because it was like the pre 5-hour energy, any of that kind of stuff, a real like energy drink. Like it was just full of caffeine, tons and tons and tons of caffeine. And I still don't know if you can get that in America. So that might be a Canadian only thing. Estonia, that might be a good thing for you to check out for me. But anyway, so balls and the Hot Pockets. Digging on that. That is total geek food if I ever saw it. Because I mean, there was a point there where it got ridiculous, where you could get a Hot Pocket with just like anything you wanted in it, and the fact that I ask questions about what's in Hot Pockets in general, kind of I guess makes me averse to that to begin with. So anyway, but Hot Pockets are good geek food. Golden Tails Geek. Now this made me laugh. Okay. A lot, because I thought, I started reading and I just went, what the hell? So, just getting out of the way, Golden Tails Geek's answer was Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers. Now, Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers, before we even move on, you just know that Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers are not only not American food, but they have to be British of some kind, right? So, I wasn't surprised to find that they were a British I guess snack food. But once you dove into what they really were and kind of described them, I just thought that was really funny. And all it made me think of was because the idea of Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers, like it just made me think of a marathon where we, who killed Bimmy Rimjob, or Bimmy Flim Flam, or all those other things we were saying during the marathon. So Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers. I've never had either of those things. If you want to send some to me, that's great. But, wow, they sound interesting. They sound good. I love shortbread cookies, so maybe those Jamie Dodgers would be right up my alley. But I just thought those were really, really funny names. If someone asked you what you're reading that night, Hobnobs and Jamie Dodgers. I don't know. I don't even know how to even go on with that. And then our new German friend, which I guess I'll say again in German, Treulose Tomate, our fine friend from Germany, the wonderful, if not extremely well visited combination of chocolate muffins, pretzels, and Coke. I'm hoping at this point that you're talking about Coca-Cola, because you're talking about the saltiness of the pretzels, but I'm not going to make a determination there either. I would say the muffins are definitely, wow, I mean that's over the top, right? Well, one of the things we used to do is make cookies. You could make muffins, that's awesome. That like takes it to the next level. It's like making brownies, right? You go make the brownies for the late night geek food, that is awesome. That is a good combination. But you got the muffins, which are the sweet, you go back to the pretzels with the salty, and then you finish it off with the Coke, which is nice and sweet. People talk about the Holy Trinity of geek food. That might be another one. I think that could work really, really well. It's a stunning combination. And then what inevitably happens, I know you guys can identify with this, you eat the muffins, you eat the pretzels, you drink the Coke, and then a couple hours later you go, man, I'm really hungry, and then you go and grab another muffin, you start the whole cycle all over again, right? That's how it works. Plunge, another one of our new commenters for the day, talked about pizza rolls. That is awesome. Love pizza rolls. Pizza rolls were definitely a staple of the late night gaming sessions. They're so damn easy to make, and they're like Hot Pockets, but they're so much smaller and crunchy and crispy, and I just love pizza rolls. They're so awesomely good, and such perfect geek food. Like you just literally open the bag, pour it in, put it in the oven, and take it out and eat it. What could be easier? You can even just make them in the microwave. So pizza rolls are definitely at the top of my list. I couldn't agree more. And just to kind of fill everything out, just to really tie up all the loose ends, I really like how DTX 180 jumped right in there just to make us all feel like the dirty fat slobs we all are, and says, an apple. Apple. I'm just going to eat apples as your late night geek food. You know, good for you, DTX 180, for staying healthy. But for the rest of us geeks, I think we all can agree, and one of the reasons I wanted to ask this question, that, you know what, we go overboard with the junk-ass food when we're staying up all night and eating, right? We're just going all the way, we're going all the way with it. We're not, there's no in-betweens. It's like we're not even trying to be healthy. We're just going to eat as much food as possible, and usually the worst food we can possibly find. But anyway, DTX 180, keeping it healthy, that's great. For the rest of us, I'm with all of you. It's all about that junk-ass food, and I am right there with you. So I'll segue now into what stuff I would nominate for this particular list. There are a couple things I want to talk about. One is never underestimate the late night, 2 o'clock in the morning runs to Taco Bell. Taco Bell was not only an answer for us, but remained an answer. I mean, all you need to know is $10 grande meals. That's all you need to know. Right there, you got 5 friends, you're all getting 2 tacos right there. It's just done. Then you just got to figure out if you want a soft taco, a crunchy taco, or a bean burrito. Done. It's perfect. It's a perfect party pack. So anyway, I think the late night Taco Bell runs, of which we did many, and in my small town, hometown, where I grew up, there was one Taco Bell, and it was all the way across town, and we didn't care. You get in the car at 1:30, it took you 20, 25 minutes to get down there. You could still get tacos in time and drive all the way home and just pig out, right? That is the kind of geek food. That's where it was at for us. It was all about the Taco Bell. Another thing we had when we were in college was the Pokey Sticks from Gumby's, which is basically just pizza without the cheese and a lot of spices, right? I know that most of you are probably going, what the hell's a Gumby's, right? It's a small, mostly southern pizza chain in the United States that serves Gumby's pizza, like Gumby, like Gumby, let's all see the magical game can play. Gumby, the guy like walk through walls and stuff, right? Okay. Well, Gumby had the little pal Pokey, and Pokey, for some reason, Pokey had Pokey Sticks. I don't know. I don't get it, but anyway, they take a giant pizza and they slice it into like breadsticks, and you could get one that was, we used to call it the Africa-sized Pokey Sticks because it literally was like 3 feet in diameter. It's just massively large. And it didn't matter how many people you had at a party, you get the Africa-sized Pokey Sticks, you are good to go all night long. But one of the things I'm going to mention, this is going to bring back a lot of nostalgia for Rue specifically, because as we were eating said Pizza Hut pizza during those great long into the night gaming sessions, we had something that was very specialized and very near and dear to our hearts called Dr. Smooth. And Dr. Smooth was the most delicious thing that we could possibly ever drink. It was the obviously generic brand Dr. Pepper variant at Harris Teeter when we grew up. It's no longer available, although I think if you search long and hard on eBay, you might be able to find some. At least last time we looked, I think we could find some. But it's very rare. I'm not even sure they still make it. I think they have like some kind of President's Choice or something now. But the point is, at that time, it came in a black can with like yellow writing. It said Dr. Smooth. And it was even sweeter. It had more sugar in it than even regular Dr. Pepper. So it was sweet, 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 sweet cola. And when we were eating that pizza, it's like pizza and soda just go together. I mean, that's just the way it works already. But to have the pizza just drown it out with that Dr. Smooth, there was nothing in the world like that stuff. And I'm really sad it's no longer available. I don't really drink soda much anymore, but if I were to drink soda, I would drink me some Dr. Smooth. So as a final sign-off to this question about geek food, which all of you had great contributions for, I'm going to give a great big salute to Dr. Smooth. Thanks so much for being a great part of my childhood and a lot of those great geeky gaming nights where we just spend all night, just playing GoldenEye, playing Mario Kart 64, any of those old games. We definitely stayed up playing those, drinking Dr. Smooth and eating pizza. Kind of an off-the-beat question this week, off-the-beaten-path question this week. I like those kinds of things. You all know that. Any of you that watch the show regularly, you know that I like to ask some questions sometimes that make you go, what the hell is he asking this question for? The non-sequiturs are always the way that I like to go here in the Weekly Wringer style. That's how I roll. So, as many of you know, and I do spend a lot of time asking during many things, the echo screens that we run, and we'll continue running during the weekly ringers, and even during some of the other times where we do bumper videos or things like that. I always ask for people to give feedback, and many of you do. And for those of you that have given feedback about certain things you want to see, you want to talk about, I love that because it really gets me thinking about other things that you guys want to talk about, and maybe you want to get a different kind of perspective on or a different take about. And so many of you have, and it's ended up on the show one way or another. I've asked a question that had some kind of ancillary connection to it, so on and so forth, right? Well, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I've had many people reach out, but I just want to focus on this. Maze, a contributor to the Weekly Ringer before in many different ways, sent me a few suggestions that we should talk about. And I started to think about some of them, and I thought they were really good. And I want to ask about one of them in particular for next week, not only to show you guys that I definitely take all of your feedback into consideration, and if you have any topics you do want to talk about, please send them to me via email at commodore128@clanofthegraywolf.com, or you can send me a private message via the website, as always. Or you could just comment, but I'd rather you just send it to me and tell me some of the things that you might want to think about, or you might want to take a stab at a Weekly Ringer for. One of the things you'd like me to ask a question about, I'll definitely take it into consideration. That's one reason why I asked it. The other reason why I asked it is because it actually pertains to a research interest of mine. Those of you that don't know, while I was in graduate school, I actually did write academically about video games, and one of the things, and basically one of the biggest topics I wrote about, was gender in video gaming and some of the problematic constructions therein. Now, rather than get into a big theoretical conversation, which I think we probably will do at some point, and I know we'll talk about it in the Weekly Ringer, it really occurred to me when Maze asked about, hey, why don't you ask about this? I thought to myself, my goodness, I haven't even asked a question about this, even though it was the focus of my master's thesis. And I couldn't really figure out why. Probably because I felt like I had written about it, I talked all those issues to death, and I thought, why would anybody else want to talk about them? So it's good to know that some of you do want to talk about them. So in that in that same vein, I'll ask about something I know a lot about and can talk a lot about, but something I think all of us can be interested in. So I wanted to ask a question that had some kind of gender-based, I guess, lean to it, so that way we can kind of talk through it. There are many, many different ways I could approach this, obviously. Many of them. But I wanted to start out with one that's a little bit more simple and doesn't get us too far, into really strong theoretical territory or could start any fights or anything like that. Not that I'm, I guess, that against that. It's more that I want to get something that can really get the discussion going and just kind of find out what you guys are thinking about that. Maybe how things have changed over the past couple of years. Because I know, a lot of the evolution of how, women in gaming has kind of changed over the years. Not only women how they're portrayed in games, but women how they, women that play games, how they're portrayed, so on and so forth. And so I know the year is now 2012. I know that we live in a different era than, say, even the early 90s, when I started first plugging into games and thinking about girls playing video games wasn't really interesting or entering into my repertoire at all at that point. But I know we have many contributors to the Weekly Ringer every single week that happen to be women, so I thought it would be great to ask a question and get everyone's perspective about it. So here's the question I want to ask for next week. The question is, what do you think about the girl gamer phenomenon? And what do I mean by that? You can go look it up if you want to take a stab at it, but there are, here we are, it's 2012. What do you guys think about playing video games with women or with girls? How has that changed things? Do you think things are already different now than they ever have been before? What do you think about when you're on Xbox Live and you hear a female voice? What kind of things go on at that point, right? I'm just interested in kind of taking the pulse of what you guys think, and how things have changed, what the state of gaming really is with females right now, and how that stuff kind of gets portrayed and how it gets played out. Really want to know what you guys have to say with this. I think it's going to be a great conversation over the course of the next week, of which I am really looking forward. So I hope that we get a lot of great comments. Definitely don't hold back. And I know I don't need to say this because the Weekly Ringer has always been great, but let's try to keep it as professional and definitely as intellectual as we can, because it should be that way, right? Let's not try to step on anybody's feelings out there. You guys have always done that. I probably don't even need to say anything, but just because we're entering maybe what could be a little bit of a sensitive topic,